GM, welcome to Morning Markets. Let's do a top-down analysis of the crypto market. First of all, high time frame charts. So Bitcoin is trying to reclaim its high time frame support resistance level. As you guys know, nothing good happens below it, but whilst we're above it and can reclaim it, can lead to bullish momentum. Ethereum, on the other hand, is below its high time frame support resistance level. Back tested it as resistance multiple times, so sellers are showing up to redistribute on ETH. And it's the same story with Total 3. Sellers are showing up to redistribute on those altcoins. And it's even worse with the others charts, everything outside the top 10. It's flush below and cannot get anywhere near its high time frame support resistance level. So what does this tell you? As I've been saying all week, guys, the trading focus should be on Bitcoin because it's the least affected from the big liquidation day. It's got the best liquidity, even though we're seeing more inefficient moves and liquidity is definitely lower than before, maybe due to some market maker blowing up. Who knows? We'll find out in the coming days and weeks. As I said, Bitcoin is still trading billions of volume. So those inefficient moves are actually offering great mean reversion conditions where you buy support, you sell resistance, quick in and out. Whereas your altcoins, they're not offering that same setup. They're bleeding and really have low participation. So you don't want to be messing around in that market when the best setups are clearly here on Bitcoin, got the most volume, most liquidity. So let's look at Bitcoin. On the daily, the 12 and 21 EMA bands are holding as resistance. So that's a sign of a potential early downtrend. However, until we have daily closes below that range low, I'd be treating this as a range between 107 to the top of this order block at 116. So above the range low, that's where you're looking for high risk to reward longs. We've been taking them a bunch around this range low, as you guys will know. It's been a great pivot level to trade around. But rallies are getting sold into at this order block, which is the high that led to the most recent flush between 113.7 to 116K. So this is where sellers are showing up again on any rally. That's a key zone to watch for any of your longs you're in to look for profit taking. Now get above there, you can look at 120 and filling in this daily gap. But until then, this is where sellers are showing up, and really around this range low, this is where buyers are showing up. It's classic mean reversion conditions. So sure, if we close below the range low, you look for downtrend continuation. But while we're above it, your bias should be for scalps and day trades only. As a high time frame trader, you've got to be patient because maybe these daily bands are going to hold as resistance and produce that downtrend, or maybe they're not. Maybe we're just going to chop around these levels for the coming weeks. And what's going to be really indicative of whether this breaks down or whether this actually can be reaccumulation is the open interest that I mentioned to you guys on the weekly outlook video. So this was the liquidation day on Bitcoin. Open interest. This shows the longs and shorts in the futures market. Guys, if you enjoy and value this content from a real trader, make sure you smash that subscribe button, hit a like, hit a comment, boost the algo for me. No one on YouTube talks about this stuff because it doesn't get the clicks looking at open interest, looking at the real data that actually moves the market, shows the leverage in the market. It's not interesting to a lot of people because it's, let's be honest, too complex, and it's not nice rainbow charts to show you bullish or bearish binary takes that do so well on the algorithm. So help support the channel. Looking at open interest, we saw a big flush on that liquidation day. So that is futures positioning closing. That is literally less interest in the futures market. So that low is a key level to look at because right now we're trading at the low interest-wise in the leverage market, whereas price is trading higher. Price is, as you can see, way above the equivalent low. So this is not what you want to see on a high time frame perspective. As I said, right now it's fine as long as we're holding daily closes above the range low, it's cool. But eventually you want to see this range out, go sideways, get boring. And if you're a bull, that can then lead to reaccumulation and a move at least to the high of the range, if not a breakout. And what you're going to see on open interest then is actually positions rebuild. This is what you need. You need people to start building longs again. It's as simple as that. You don't want to see this continue to fall below the liquidation level, because that means since the liquidation day, more and more longs are actually exiting the market. And that is profit taking, and profit taking leads to downtrends. It's not just shorts which lead to downtrends. Downtrends are actually mostly because of spot sellers, spot buyers taking profit, and also longs on the futures market taking profit. Because these bull markets, they aren't just propped up by spot. It is also longs, it is also leverage. But now we need to see, can that leverage start rebuilding here? Because at the moment, you're below this blue line. So this is the high of 2024 marked on the chart here. So as you can see, price is above it, whereas open interest is below it. And this liquidation day, open interest is trading at it, whereas price again is above it. So you need to see positions actually just start to rebuild here so that we can see some further upside. Otherwise, you're at risk of, again, daily bands maybe holding as resistance and more positions close out. That will be seen in the coming days. Do spot sellers continue selling and then continue selling and then successfully move the price down? That's what you want to look at. Or does that fail? And do we reaccumulate? Because it's spot sellers that form the bottoms and tops in the market. If spot are selling aggressively and it can't go lower, then that's indicative of absorption and reaccumulation. If spot are selling and it does go lower, then that's indicative of redistribution. So something key to think about on the higher time frame on Bitcoin, but those are the levels. And as you guys know, intraday it's been offering amazing setups low time frame. So high time frame traders gotta have patience here, guys. Low time frame traders, scalpers and day traders, it's been an absolute joy to trade these conditions around these levels that I've been giving you guys. So we have seen since yesterday's video, I said look for a flush at that Monday's low. Then let's look for longs, and that played out. We got a retest after the New York session of this range low, forming a double bottom here. Couldn't take out the low and reclaim the range low, and that's led to a lovely move to the high time frame support resistance level here. And I think that weekly open level is going to be very key now. Above the weekly open, I think bulls have momentum for a potential push higher. Below it, I think it's back to chop, back to retests of the range low potentially. And let's take a look at the trades from yesterday, which I mentioned to you guys. So in yesterday's morning markets video, I said I'm going to be looking for some sort of flush on that Monday low. This wasn't a limit order set. I said I'm going to wait for a flush and a reclaim, and that's what's going to be my trigger to get long. And you can see over here, I got long on the first 5-minute reclaim of the range low after the flush. Stop loss at the low. Took profits on this one early, so took profits when we lost the daily open. Also took some profits over here when we started retracing, but we've seen that later on the long actually played out beautifully and went to the target of 110k, didn't actually hit the stop loss or invalidation. So yeah, bit of a bummer to have taken profits early, but rules are rules in my system. Didn't want to hold it overnight. However, his setups played out pretty beautifully, and it was just the trade of the week from Sunday. So it was this orange path over here where you lose the range low, FTR reversal, and you reclaim the range low. Boom, that's the trigger. Let me show you guys. Trade of the week on Sunday. Literally this orange path where you lose the range low, reclaim it, boom, that's the trigger. Of course, I took profits early, but did go on and hit his target now from here. So sometimes you have to look at the markets and say, what would I do if I was still long? And that can give you some setups and insights into the market. So back to the Bitcoin chart here. Let's go to lower time frames, looking at the 15-minute from here. We've got a lot of volatility. So if you check impulse candles, high volume, high bodied candles over here, you have a gap which has filled, And now you really need to see, does this gap hold? Can we close back above here and ideally above the high time frame SR level? If so, you can see a move to 112 potentially. Lose this, then I'm looking at that weekly open. If I see signs of the weekly open holding, maybe something like a failure to return pattern over here, then I'm going to be looking for longs on the structure break to trade it towards that 112k level. So that's what I'm going to be looking at from here. Get above the gap, ideally the high time frame SR, then looking for trades towards 112. Below the gap, and I'm looking for that weekly open to hold. If the weekly open doesn't hold, then it's probably going to actually more likely lead to extended chop in this range and probably not be a trade that I want to get involved in. So I'm looking at one of these two purple paths over here to see, can we either get a reclaim of the high time frame SR from here and hold this gap, or if we lose the gap, does the weekly open level hold? And that's at 118.6k on your weekly open. Then you're just looking for your reversal patterns to look for longs, really. So that's the setup. That's what I'll be looking at from here. Of course, if you are long from the range low, you can just hold. Ideally, you want to see a break of structure from here, and then you can start moving stops up into profit and trade the rest of the move to 112, I'd say. And then at 112, I'd be looking for signs of exhaustion. And if not 112, then I'll be looking at the Q4 open. Very simple. So once we hit here, do we then just see signs of price topping out? Or alternatively, at the Q4 open at 114k, do we see signs of topping out? Because these mean reversion markets, they're offering really nice trades around these levels where, look, you lose the range low overnight. And I told you guys, overnight moves, they're causing all the volatility. Look at that. You got to move right from 107 to 110 again in that overnight session. Lovely mean reversion conditions. So you simply can get long on the reclaims. Stop loss at the low, the liquidity. Boom. Trade it to the next level. And you can either hold for longer or get out. It depends on your system. Point is, it's the reclaims that are offering great setups. And even this high time frame SR, you get above it, then you lose it, offers a potential short setup. Now, will this play out or not? I'm not sure. But again, you're seeing how these levels are working in mean reversion. And that's how I'm personally trading it. Just wanted to share that with you guys, a little bit of alpha around these levels and what I'm currently doing. It's all about the reclaims and just setting your invalidation at that liquidity, because if that hits, then it's probably more likely to actually go to the next level. Very simple. So those are the two ideas I'm looking at on BTC. Now, if we do break down in the coming days, something I want to mention is this 50-week EMA, which is currently at 99.9k, so 100k. It's going to be moving up. Probably doesn't play out today, but in the coming days, again, I want to just keep you guys aware of this. If we get a move down to the 50-week EMA, I'd be looking to get long on the reclaim on something like the 1 hour chart, trading this up to whatever level is there at the time. That will, of course, be seen with the price action, which will come if this does play out. So 50-week EMA is another level I want to scalp around long for my day trading system. So those are the levels. That's what I'm looking at setup-wise. If we take a look at the open interest on Bitcoin, it further confirms what I'm seeing. So you get these big inefficient rallies up, and then look at this open interest, just bleeds. So positions are exiting. They're using these big inefficient rallies as exit liquidity. And again, I think someone has blown up from this big liquidation day. I think there is a market maker or someone that's going to come out under the bed in a few days, a few weeks' time, because this is very indicative of low liquidity. You're getting these sharp pumps which immediately mean revert, but sellers are using the sharp pumps to offload positions, offload. Look at that green CVD, spot are selling aggressively. That's not what you want to see. Now, of course, if price builds higher lows, we all know price first, price is king, and we stay above the range low and absorb that spot selling, don't get me wrong, that's going to be a great setup then. Stay above here, all good. But again, it gives you your warning sign to say if we do close below the range low, you are seeing all the signs of potential redistribution, and then you're looking at lower. So that's the high time frame breakdown. That's the low time frame breakdown. That's what I'm looking at on BTC. When we look at gold, so gold has put in what we know, a low time frame top, that's for sure. Is it going to be a high time frame top? No, I don't think so. I think this asset's going to go higher. If you're bullish on Bitcoin, it doesn't make sense to not be bullish on gold because both assets fundamentally stand for the same thing. They are, one, a flight to safety, and two, a store of wealth. It's just Bitcoin is digital gold and gold is, of course, physical. So it has different properties in that sense. And gold is more of a risk-off asset during those geopolitical tensions, whereas Bitcoin's more of a risk-on asset, but that's all short time frame stuff. Overall, they both go up and to the right together, high time frame. That's the point I'm making. And gold potentially topping out here is interesting because we haven't seen how Bitcoin will react if gold actually goes into a downtrend. We've seen Bitcoin's very bullish when gold goes sideways. We know that. But we don't know what Bitcoin's going to do when this chart goes actually down. Something to really think about and something that's in the back of my mind. Of course, I'm prepared for it. That's why I'm in 100% cash. But something to get you guys thinking is, if this chart does go into a downtrend rather than consolidation, what happens to Bitcoin? Now, if it consolidates, that could be good for Bitcoin. You can then see Bitcoin actually have, at the same time, an upwards rally while gold goes sideways. It's just if this starts actually downtrending, then do we then see Bitcoin actually downtrend and break down? Very possible. So I'm looking at the high and low of this weekly candle on gold between 4K and 4.4K as a trading range. If we break below this, then you're looking at downside. If we break above this, then you're looking at upside. Simple as that for me. And that's played out pretty well, as we know, with all of these boxes on gold. So if this daily order block over here, so right now we're into a daily order block. This should hold for a bounce, as everyone's calling the top on gold. Easy to mean revert and push the price up as people get overly bearish short term. And that has come, of course, right at the daily order block. This is why price is king, guys. Technical analysis tells you the story before anything. This is where we're bouncing from at the moment. But if we eventually lose that order block, then I'm looking at the weekly bands. Held as support throughout 2025, throughout 2024 even as well. Therefore, I'll be seeing how does price react if we get this red path and move into these bands. Does that then hold? And where are we at? But probably going to be a long time till that happens. I'd imagine you've got some chop to come on gold. Even if distribution is typically going to take a number of weeks to months even for it to play out. So looking at gold in between this range between 4K and 4.4K. Now, other than that, that is the market update, guys. Remember, manage risk with all your systems. It's a day traders, scalpers market at the moment. If you're quick in and out, you can kill it. But you have to have your systems first. You can't just blindly long and short at these key levels that I'm giving you guys. You got to have your own setups, have your own systems. I'm just telling you what I'm doing and my own setups. And hopefully that helps you guys. And if it has, again, drop a comment, drop a like, drop a subscribe. Let's take the crypto coach community to the next level. GM.